Hey guys, it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for another Worldly Wednesday where we talk about anything the world is interested in, but from a higher perspective. If you're interested in hearing deeper insights into life and worldly topics, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Today's Worldly Wednesday, we're going to be talking about cancel culture. Okay, it's a big thing. It is going on. So I said, hey, let's talk about it on Worldly Wednesday. There's quite a bit that you can unpack when it comes to cancel culture, and one of the biggest things is we have to understand that cancel culture comes from a disempowered society, okay? Where it's it's a situation where people feel so powerless that they're wanting to exert some form of power, usually based on their opinions, okay? And opinions aren't facts. Okay, so that's one thing that we have to understand. And you would never see an empowered society having something going on like cancel culture. It just wouldn't happen, because in an empowered society where people were empowered, true power is internal. Okay, and when people don't have that internal sense of power, it people get to where they feel good about themselves for being able to cancel other people, okay, to be able to say, to kind of stand in this place of self-righteousness and make judgments on other people. And so not only does this only happen in disempowered societies, it only happens in unevolved societies. And I know that people believe that, we're so evolved when, because of the comforts that we have in today's world, but we're not. Okay, we're not a very evolved society. We're not a very evolved, as a collective. So, if we were more evolved, right, we would be more connected to ourselves. We would be more empowered within ourselves. We would be more aware of ourselves. And all of these factors would eliminate the ability for any of us to kind of rise up into this place where we have something that exists like cancel culture. There's a lot of problems, with cancel culture. Now, in an evolved society, right, where people were empowered, true power is internal. So when you're tapped into your own power, the first thing is people would be focused on canceling their own opinions that are not beneficial versus spending so much time and focus on canceling the opinions of others. Because here's the thing, this is the thing about cancel culture. Every single one of us would be deserving of being canceled. So when it comes to things like pulling up people's old tweets of something they said 10 years ago and then wanting them to be canceled, this is the kind of stuff that happens with cancel culture. And we have to recognize that spiritually, on a spiritual level, this works against us, as human beings. Because if we don't have room to grow, to evolve, to learn better of our ways, then you're going to stifle the society, because the society is made up of individual people, and what that society is going to look like is what their individual evolution is like. Okay, and it will hinder people from being able to evolve and grow. If you have a society, it creates society where the only safe space is to be bland, okay, to not have any real opinions that may cause controversy. And if we're a society of people who cannot accept opinions that are different from our own, we have to look at, or even opinions we don't agree with, okay? We have to look at where we are. So we have to understand that cancel culture is more about who we are than it is about other people's behavior. You know, the thing that I get upset about and want to cancel somebody over is going to shine a light on my own lack of self awareness because, like I said, there's nobody, not one person, who would be above being canceled. Because the very people who are having the issue with whatever they want canceled have a ton of issues. It's just hypocrisy, really. Because those people also have a ton of issues that could be looked at, you know, that you could look at and say, you need to change, you need to grow, you need to evolve, you need to get it together, which is exactly what is being said to every person who's quote unquote canceled. Okay, so that's why you can have, you know, just I'm trying to think of a good profession just to give an example. Um, you know, you have the counselor or therapist that, you know, feels a certain way and wants someone canceled for their behavior, and this same person, you know, who's in a position of, you know, helping other people is emotionally abusive to their own kids, you know, at the same time, but they're not on trial, right? They're not on trial. So we have to realize that for each and every one of us, if we were on trial, which is what cancel culture does, we would all lose. Okay? You know, there would be an indictment or judgment against us because we're all here to grow. And that's a part of what life is. A part of it is having dumb opinions or, you know, having to evolve out of the way we once perceived the world as we grow and evolve within ourselves. That is what life is really meant to be. Life is not meant to be, you know, getting up and looking a certain way in front of the world. And as long as we do that, we're okay. See, we actually create a society that is, you know, kind of going to devolve itself rather than evolve. Because if we have cancel culture, it means that for any of us who want to have, who are going to be in any ways a public figure, right? Or have any level of following and influence, then we're going to be in a position where our ability to grow, which is we grow from the mistakes, we grow from saying that stupid thing, and actually having to look back on our perception or our behavior or mistakes that we've made and being able to see where we need to grow and evolve. That's a huge part of our evolution. If we have to be bland, right, we have to watch everything we say. We're going to make sure that we don't make some of those mistakes that on a spiritual level we need. We need mistakes. You know, we need to be wrong sometimes. You know, there's even times we need a little embarrassment, a little humiliation. It's not going to kill us. Okay, on a spiritual level, these things are actually beneficial for our growth. And we need to embrace that as really a part of the human experience. And if we can't allow others to have their journey, we're also, you know, stifling ourselves. So in a really evolved society, you have people having the ability to say something stupid and for people to be like, you know, wow, that's really stupid, or, you know, to get other people's commentary and perspective that may make them say, you know what, maybe I need to, you know, I didn't think about that. You know, it's a lot of times the perceptions we have that need to evolve come from a place of ignorance, right? There's something we don't know. There's some level of growth we haven't had. And sometimes putting that out there and hearing other people comment on it gives us the ability to kind of reflect and, bridge those, educational gaps where we were ignorant. People come in and fill in with the information that we were missing, which was a part of why we had the perspective we had, right? So we need that. And when we take that away, we create a society where people are not doing their own growth and work and looking at their own ignorant opinions, because we all have them. Okay? And people are getting this satisfaction of being able to just feel good about themselves because they're able to feel empowered in, kind of being able to tear someone else down. Which really, there's no power in that. And, on a spiritual level, we're all connected. So you can't do to others what you're not doing to yourself. And supposedly, cancel culture is kind of about holding other people accountable. But true accountability is something that we have to learn within ourselves first, because what happens is you have a lot of people that want to cancel other people and don't even know how to hold themselves accountable for the ignorant perceptions that they have. They're not even, taking the time to look at those things. And in truly evolved societies, you have societies of very self-aware people. And being self-aware will kind of it will cancel culture. Because you cannot be deeply aware of yourself and then be, extremely judgmental of the behavior of another person. You can only be in a place where because cancel culture is like condemnation. Because when you say you're canceled, you're basically condemning that person. And you're saying that, you should not have a voice. You should, your creative works and what you do should just not exist. And we would not be able, the only place that you're able to do that from is a place of lack of self-awareness, of where you yourself are deserving of condemnation. Where you yourself deserve to be, to have that same thing happen to you. You should be, if you're a therapist and you're somewhere, here you are anxious at home and, stressed out and yelling at your kids. You shouldn't be a therapist. You don't deserve to be. You see what I mean? Or, the school teacher who spends all this time with everybody else's kids and hardly has any time for her own. So it's just so many things we could look at. You shouldn't be a school teacher. Look at the time you don't spend with your own kids. Go sit down with your own kids and get out the classroom with somebody else's kids all day. And you hardly pay any attention to your own. Your own are sitting in their bedroom all day playing video games. You see what I mean? Right? If we were to do that, if we wanted to take that stance in society, everybody would be deserving of it. Everybody, there's something where you would be deserving of being thrown from your platform or from, from whatever area of society that you impact. Okay. The nurse who wants to be at work doing healthcare, but, it at the same time has so many issues that is making everybody sick around her emotionally. Okay, you're not contributing to healthcare. You're making people sick with all the stuff you got that, going on with you and all your problems that you need to fix. And everybody around you is suffering emotionally and mentally, with your ways, and you're making people, emotionally sick. Right? So get out the hospital trying to take care of other people. Go learn how to not make other people sick emotionally around you. Right? See how this would go? So that's why it's always a better place to come from, where we look at canceling our own opinions and, negative traits and, the ways that we have negative impact in the world, be they big or small. Right? And as we did that, if we created a culture of that, we would create a more empowered society where people would feel less of a need to try to, control others' paths, and we would be more empowered to to navigate our own paths in a very powerful and meaningful way. And you can clearly see the issues people have by who they want to cancel. You have to understand that cancel culture, you can't say a whole lot about the other person without also saying something about yourself. And that's the part that people can't see, because to engage in cancel culture, you have to be very, you have to lack self awareness, because the self awareness will not even allow you to engage in that. And you have to understand that you're walking a fine line when you get into cancel culture and having a society where that's really prominent, because you can't take away the freedom of others without taking away your own. And cancel culture is a great way to remove freedom of speech by intimidation and fear. So you're basically, creating a society that is going to have a lot less freedom. It does go against, our First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. People have the right to be free. So here we are, kind of going against the very principles of what we say we stand for in supposedly the foundation of our country. But nobody even is really even looking at that part of it, because you have to understand, if other people cannot say whatever they're thinking, no matter how offensive that is, they are going to get an opportunity to say that and experience the backlash of it, meaning not being canceled and completely condemned, but other people are going to have the right to give their opinion about it, right? And that's the way it should go. And so then if they get a bunch of opinions of people saying, you know what, I don't think that's a good perspective, they get to experience the impact of, where they are. And that's all it should be. When it comes into, you are so bothered by someone having a certain opinion, right, or perspective, idea, that you want them shut down. You're not looking at the yuckiness of what's going on inside of you. And the lack of compassion, the lack of that you yourself are a person that is lacking in tolerance of other people, right? And you could grow in that, because in this world, for any society, there has to be a certain level of tolerance for other people. Now, and that means for us to be empowered and to have the self-awareness and the primary focus of our own growth, so that we're also able to tolerate perspectives that don't match our own. And even it would even make us a lot less sensitive to people and their opinions and the way they feel towards us. Okay, all of these benefits that would come from us being a more self-focused, self-aware society are just endless. The amount of benefit that we would experience on an individual level, as well as collectively as a society, right? Because you would actually have a society where, not only would people be a lot less willing to be harmful to other people because they would be more healthy, but you would have a society of people that when they did run across someone who was unhealthy, they're not excessively injured by those people. Okay, so these kind of backwards, externalized approaches to society that we have and that we reinforce are actually very detrimental to us on a spiritual level, because what we need to feel good on a physical level or on an ego level is usually quite opposite of what we need to feel solid, whole, grounded, and to evolve on a spiritual level. Okay, so with cancel culture, we run the risk of having a very increasing the blindness that we have as a society to our own lack of self-awareness, because you're going to have people being triggered and upset by the very things that they have some connection to. That's the way it goes. Okay, as far as universal law, the things that bother you the most, you have a connection to. There's something in you that causes that to bother you so much. And maybe you'd want to look at that versus the thing that the other person, is doing. And not to mention, if other people are not allowed to say what they need to say, neither are you. At some point, neither are you. And we're going to create a society where that lacks freedom of speech, which is, kind of the way it is. And that kind of goes against everything we say we stand for, which is extreme hypocrisy, as a nation. Extreme hypocrisy. Because we are losing our freedom of speech. You can't say anything that's going to upset everybody. And not only that, people are devolving so much, they're extremely sensitive. Okay, so you got grown people in their 40s and 50s who can't tolerate, certain opinions. That's sad. Okay, and that is a huge testament to our spiritual evolution, because as an adult, you should, be to a level spiritually within yourself that you can tolerate ignorance from other people. The only time it's a real issue is when we're talking about things that will cause real damage to other people. So that is things like, killing people, physical violence, molestation, sexual abuse, assault, things like that. Yes, you have to have a guideline. You have to put your foot down in some way. But opinions, people are allowed to have the opinions that they have, even if they don't agree with yours. Because every opinion you have is not right. That right now, every single one of us, there's something you think that you have no idea how ignorant you are, right now. So when you sit up and look at somebody else's ignorance and how ignorant they are in what they're saying, that is because you have awareness of the thing they don't have awareness of. But there's someone who has awareness of things you don't have awareness of right now, today. So to somebody, you would look ignorant as I don't know what if you open your mouth about what you think the truth is and what you think is right. Because there's somebody who knows so much more than you. And that's the way it always is. So self-awareness will prevent cancel culture. And that's why cancel culture is something that can only exist in a society that lacks self-awareness. Okay, so that's my little bit on, cancel culture. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me your opinions of, cancel culture. What do you think about it? And remember that until we are all empowered, we can't be fully empowered individually. So help others become empowered by supporting the channel, because that's what we do here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next week.